Hey guys, Bassize here, and today I am back for day number 29 of r/PettyRevenge. Revenge. Oh, I am never let that joke die until the project dies. But today I have 5 stories lined up, and they're all in a row, but I'm not going to try and read them in the order. So I'll start off with Rude to my wife, enjoy a moment of self-doubt. A few years ago, when moving houses, we had to sell our Ikea Pax wardrobe as it wouldn't fit in our new place. This thing was massive and took hours to originally build. My wife diligently took photos of it open/closed at different angles and advertised it as for sale online. Soon after, we had a winning bidder, and for a pretty decent price too. We arranged a pickup date and all seemed to be going smoothly. A few days before the arranged pickup date, the buyer dropped by unannounced and demanded to see the wardrobe right away or he wouldn't buy it. My wife was a bit flustered, but let him see it anyway. Anyways in and showed it to him. He did some measurements, and after appearing to be satisfied with those, really told my wife that we better not damage it during disassembly, all screws and dowels etc. be properly accounted for, and that we tape all the long pieces together with cardboard in between them so they don't get scratched, and also that all the manuals are in decent condition and present so we can properly reassemble everything. His behaviour made my wife feel nervous and attacked. He left without any thank you for your time, just a threat that if all wasn't as he expected, he'd not buy it. So of course, we took care disassembling the wardrobe and ensured pieces were separated by cardboard as to not get damaged. I also made sure all the manuals were present and accounted for. Lastly, I took great care to ensure that all screws and dowels were accounted for and in a sturdy plastic bag that wouldn't rip. However, because he was an asshole to my wife, I took a screw from another Ikea furniture set we had disassembled during the move and added it to the bag of screws and dowels for the wardrobe, ensuring that no matter how well he put it back together, there'd be at least one remaining. Yeah, it's just like when you get normal IKEA furniture in the first place. You always have the extra items that you don't know what to do with. So he probably just thinks you actually had the box still laying around and the screw. And like, you kept the one extra screw. It's like, that's always the case with furniture. You always have an extra screw or two. You could almost even say the guy had a screw loose. That's it. I'll see myself out. No, it's a terrible joke. And let's move on to the next story. Teacher wouldn't let me use the restroom. I got her suspended. The title explains it. To preface, I have Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. I don't know what those are. This qualifies me as disabled, and so starting when I first got sick in high school, I was required accommodations by state law. Being disabled was hard and pretty complicated since after being diagnosed with IBD, I started getting various other health issues, ranging from kidney issues to neurological issues to fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. My school was very reasonable, and even after missing 3 months when I was first diagnosed, I still got all of my credits. The following year, I was doing alright. Then, second semester, one of my teachers left and the new one was a complete monster. She refused to teach with the textbook and used Wikipedia instead. Wikipedia, the best source of information if you want to fail. Wouldn't give us any tests or practice for the AP exam we were due to take. I was very frustrated and felt unprepared. She absolutely loathed me since I had a little pink pass that allowed me to take my meds in class, go to the nurse as needed, and have unlimited restroom breaks. She thought I was a disruption. I'll do my best to wait until she was done talking unless I was in too much pain, but she would always roll her eyes and groan at me. One day I had just gone in from a doctor's appointment and rushed into her class. I asked to go to the restroom and said I'd be right back. She said no. Well, asking is just a formality. All of the teachers get emails about the disabled students and know about their accommodations. So I told her, I need to go to the restroom. I'm going. As I left, she groaned something about me always wasting class time and faking it. I picked up my stuff and took it with me. I went to the restroom. Then I went downstairs to my dean's office. I signed in, and when he came out to get me, I told him about her attitude and how she refused to let me use my accommodations, so I came here. I simply told him that they should let her know that she's required to let me leave the class for a reason, and I have medical paperwork to back that up. He apologized profusely and called the teacher. He told her that he was sending a substitute to her room and he wanted to speak with her. Then he called for a substitute teacher on his walkie-talkie. She arrived at his office looking very displeased, to say the least. He sent me out of the room and I waited in the lobby for, I think, 20 minutes. Once she left, he had her stop at the desk to fill out some paperwork. He brought me back into the office and to fill out paperwork too about what had happened. A few other students who heard what had happened came in as witnesses, and after that she was gone for 3 weeks. To my knowledge, she was suspended because she opened them up to a potential lawsuit. Blatantly denying a disabled student their accommodations is against the law here, and the school didn't tolerate it one bit. I will admit I do feel a little bad, but I don't take any shit when it comes to my body and my diseases. If she's gonna complain about disabled people, don't work in a school. There's always gonna be that one disabled kid in a class. Hell, I have a mental disorder myself. Yet because I'm not in America, I didn't have the whole pass thing, and I was not obvious about my mental disorder. I was very discreet about it. I don't even think my teachers knew that well that I had a mental disorder. That's how down low it was. The gardener strikes back. Happened to Aunt's gardener. So my aunt just moved into a new neighborhood. She hired a gardener to blow all the leaves off of the property. It was the weekend, and apparently in the neighborhood there was a band of sound over 80 decibels on the weekend. So the lady from the neighboring house came over and said, "We've called the police, just want to let you know so it isn't awkward." What? Could have just asked. So the poor gardener gets a written warning and has to go. Later that week, the gardener calls and explains that he has a workaround and can resume work on the weekend. Obviously, we're wondering what's going to satisfy this crazy lady. Comes Saturday, and the gardener pulls up in his truck this time. Suddenly, it starts roaring much louder than any of the leaf blowers. Turns out there isn't a law banning mulch munchers from running, and this one is much louder than anything else the gardener has done. He then proceeded to mask the leaf blowers with the mulch muncher. The lady storms out, takes one look, and goes back in. Turns out the police completely reject her call and she now has to live with this loud beast every Saturday for an hour. Yes. How to beat sound? Even louder sound! We're gonna go as loud as humanly possible. Until we break the sound barrier. At which point, no sound would be gone. Treat your wife like garbage. She gets excellent service and all the potatoes. Why potatoes? I work as a server at a very large restaurant chain that serves unlimited soup and salad as an entree. Do you happen to work at Olive Garden? I was seated with an older couple during a lunch shift. The wife was very sweet, but the husband was very clearly on a power trip. He didn't allow his wife to change her order, picked her drink for her, and interrupted her special salad request by stopping her mid-sentence and having her present her face to him so she could pick off an imaginary piece of lint. She was embarrassed, but was keeping the peace. Because we are a high-volume restaurant, our production line is a well-oiled machine that requires all food to be run through the computer and turns tickets for us in less than 10 minutes. However, servers build salads and portion out soups on their own to accommodate the demand of bottomless refills. The soup the husband ordered for both of them sometimes comes with large slices of potato and can be one of our prettiest meals if played properly. The first round of soup I served to them had all of the ingredients, but was missing the large pieces of pretty potato because it was closer to the end of the soup. After serving them their first round, he begins to make sideways comments about the composition of the soups. He asked if we had a new cook, insisting that the recipe had changed, telling his wife to take a look at her bowl because she had potatoes this time on her second round. I approached their table to see if they wanted a third round, and before I could speak, he turned and barked yes and rolled his eyes. Cue PettyRevenge. All of my questions for the table were directly to her, and I prompted her with extra options, toppings from the salad bar, different drinks. A new system of this soup was brought out by the time I was pulling that third round. His wife received the largest slices of potato, plate high and beautiful, and he received the chopped bits every time. Husband was disgruntled, but she was happy to engage. He ended up stealing my favorite blue pen, but she left a nice tip under her last soup bowl. I can only hope that she felt seen during my short period of time waiting on her. Of course, the husband, as a last little detail, had to steal OP's favorite pen. It's just like, yes, of course. Last detail. I'm going to take your pen. It's now my pen because I used it last. Just, of course. Just dumb. I just love the fact also it's just like, I have to decide everything you eat. I am your decision maker in life now, because I'm your husband. Friend my family for standing on your grass. Enjoy your fines from the city for your broken down garage. We live next to a large open grass field. There is an old house on the property, but it's condemned and no one lives there. The owner of the property only shows up to mow the field, but does nothing else with the property. The garage beside the house is caving in on itself and just looks like trash. People walk through the field to go fish on the river, walk their dogs, or just wander. Most people think it's just city public property. A few days ago, we were outside playing with our dog and toddler. They were walking a few feet off of our driveway, which is technically his property. He just happened to be driving by and pulled over and began yelling and was just, in general, overly aggressive. He yelled that we needed to stay on our own property. He accused us of tossing cigarette butts. We don't smoke, and beer cans. We're never drinking outside. All over the field. He also yelled that we drive all over his field causing mud puddles. Again, completely not true. He then pointed to our dog and complained that she needs to stay off his grass. In the past, he had specifically said he did not care if our dog walked on the field. He proceeded to say if he found any dog shit anywhere, he was going to retaliate against us and we're not going to like it. This happened within a few minutes. My boyfriend took the toddler and dog inside and came back out to try to talk to him and saw out these crazy accusations, and the guy had already left. We called the police to document the incident since he did make a threat. We're now looking into getting cameras and a way to get a fence up. Since the other neighbors also play with their dogs in the field and strangers walk through all the time, he cannot blame us for any evidence of dogs being present, but that won't stop him from blaming us anyways, and I don't know what he means by retaliate. I've never been bothered by the shitty house on the property. Not my business or problem. But since he wants to be an asshole, suddenly I'm super bothered by it. So I called the City Code Enforcement Office and filed a complaint. Said I've been seeing wild animals coming and going from the building, and that I see kids walk through the field all the time, and I'm worried that someone's going to get hurt. And that my neighbors are all upset about this too. Now, all of this is true, but I frankly never gave a shit until now. He now has 30 days to either demolish the whole thing or fix it up. It's definitely beyond fixing, or he has to appear in front of a judge. The city will fine him severely, and if action still isn't taken, they'll seize the property from him entirely. You want to scream at my family in front of a toddler and in front of my dog? I think you're going to be a little too busy now with the city breathing down your neck. Enjoy your fines, court costs, and construction bills. Edit. For some clarification, the building on the property is not his home. It is an old house that has been uncared for and kept and allowed to fall apart for the last decade. Multiple people in the neighborhood have called and complained about the old code enforcement officer just gave him a warning after warning. The property owner has been asked by neighbors to please take care of the problem because it's awful to look at and wild animals hide in there. He has refused. There is a new code enforcement officer that actually cares and wants it taken care of. Property owner has had years to take care of the issue. Me calling only helped speed things up, but it was going to happen anyways. We are not angry because he did want us on the property. It's his property and he has that right. We are angry because he gave us permission to play fetch on the field, and when he changes his mind, which again, in his right, instead of telling us he has changed his mind, he instead shows up out of nowhere, very hostile and making threats. There's an update. COVID caused all court appearances to be pushed back by a few months, so he hasn't done a thing to the building. Just within the last 2 weeks, he finally had a crew come take it down. It took about a week. I assume he waited until the last possible moment before his updated court date to do this. When the garage door was open, you could see it was much worse than expected. The back portion of the roof was completely caved in all the way to the ground. It was a miracle nobody got hurt while they were taking things out of there. But now the building is gone and it has one less eyesore and danger to the neighborhood. The house itself is still pretty bad, but not as bad as the garage. Also found out where he lives, and it's in this mansion of a house in a very wealthy neighborhood, so he clearly does well enough for himself that he could have afforded to take care of these issues long ago. He just doesn't care. So he's the douchebag. We haven't had any further altercations with him. He has no reason to even know we called because most of the neighborhood has been complaining for years. But we are careful to avoid him, and our dog now wears an electric collar so no one can question her being outside our property. I've still seen other people walking around the field, but now that it's winter, they'll stop for a while. He is hoping he finally sells the property so someone can actually take care of it. It's just like, I bought this property and I'm gonna just let it rot. What? You have a problem with that? Take it up with the city. Just, I want to let this place rot. I want to see it rot. I don't care if it rots to the ground. I want to see everything rot. I want to see it ancestors rot. Oh my gosh. Well, that was an interesting episode. I'm going to end it here today. Links will be in the description to the main channel and also the channel that you're on right now that has links to the playlist and the last episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, ding. I'm Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist